against the Georgia Bulldogs.
Wow.
Gunnar Stockton. He's running the show now. 9.5 win total. Kirby Smart. Georgia Bulldogs. Connor, talk to me.
Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart has won 11 or more games in 7 of the last 8 seasons. He was 8-2 in 2020 in that shortened year, so kind of an asterisk there. They've been great. They've been a machine. Last year was their first time since 2020 averaging under 5 yards per carry. The passing game averaged just 7.7 yards per attempt. Sorry, Carson Beck, that's not going to get it done. Look, I'm going to start off hot here on Georgia. Completely out on Georgia this year. No shot they win the SEC. Gunnar Stockton, is he actually the next great Georgia quarterback? I'm sorry, I don't think so. I think it's a lot more likely that he's underwhelming, makes a lot of mistakes behind an inexperienced O-line, and without any true star wide receivers on this roster, that's not really a recipe for success for a guy like Gunnar Stockton. And so, for that reason alone, top 4 O-linemen are gone from last year. I'm kind of out on Georgia this year. I mean, they got some transfer wide receivers in, sure, but there's not a Ryan Williams. There's not a Jeremiah Smith on this Georgia team.
I do like Branch from USC.
I'm saying Zach Branch.
I do, but is he an elite number 1 first-round pick wide receiver?
My problem is with that is it's not as much the receivers at this point is can we prove that Gunnar Stockton can throw the ball? Because in the limited time we did see him, it was all on the ground. And maybe that was the play calling and the coaching staff saying, hey, we're going to be super conservative here. We're not going to put you in uncomfortable positions. You're great with your legs. Let's just be smart, run the ball, pound the rock kind of thing. So, or is it they don't trust his arm? We'll find out this season. I'm curious to see what happens there.
I agree, and I just don't think he'll be an elite quarterback in this conference, at least immediately. I think it's going to take some time, and he takes a lot of hits. From the limited action we saw last year, he takes some hits. He puts his body on the line, which, it's admirable for that to be your leader for your quarterback, but I wouldn't be shocked if he gets hurt a couple times this year. That's a lot of hits from good defenses in this conference. I don't know, Dylan, you can go ahead. I don't see it with Georgia this year. I don't see it.
It's going to be interesting. What are you going to get with Gunnar Stockton, obviously? The Carson Beck gets a really bad rap for last year, and he made some bad throws. This wide receiver room last year, I think, had like 8-10% drop rate. Like this, it was just unlike anything we'd ever seen from a Georgia wide receiver room. I'm kind of with you, Connor. I'm tampering my expectations here a little bit on the Georgia Bulldogs. You look at returning production. Well, actually, let's look at the defense, right? So I have the depth chart up here. Everybody comes in from within the program, but I believe it's only 3 returning defensive starters. This was a good defense last year. I don't doubt Georgia's ability to the phrase I'm thinking of is grow defenders from within. Develop defenders from within. I don't doubt their ability on that. But offensively, Oscar Delp being TE1, that's not great. He had 200 yards last year.
Yeah, but he'll be okay this year. I think that might maybe be a bright spot for that offense. I think he'll be okay.
If that's the bright spot for your offense, then I think I rest my case. If your tight end Oscar Delp is the bright spot for the offense, then I think I rest my case.
You need your run game to be good. You need Nate Frazier to be good and take a step forward immediately. Because I just like you touched on Karter with Gunnar Stockton's arm. If that's your reliable option on offense, I don't know.
And I want to touch on Dylan Bell real quick, wide receiver. He's a senior, 10% drop rate last year, but a 55% contested catch rate. He was actually the drops are a problem, but he was really good when he was contested, which I think is a bright spot offensively as well. It'll be interesting to see what kind of role he takes in this offense moving forward. But this is another situation. You have a quarterback. It hasn't taken super valuable snaps, so what are we going to see from him? I am going to bet on the lower tail of that bell-shaped curve rather than the upper tail, especially given that they're another 9.5 win total team. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys too. My concern is, look, we do this kind of every year where we look at certain programs and we go, okay, they're gonna have they always have a great defense. They're gonna have a great defense. Iowa, every year you're gonna go, look, Iowa's gonna develop some guys on the defense. You don't know their names half the time coming into previews, but they're gonna develop a good defense. You assume that with Georgia, always high recruits and everything like that. So you see, there's some change-ups on the defensive side for the Georgia Bulldogs. My concern is, look, if the offensive line isn't really there for Gunnar Stockton, who's going to have to run the ball constantly, he's going to need time in the pocket to be able to use his arm, which we haven't really seen that much, even though it hasn't been a lot of games we've seen, obviously, so this is all bull crap mainly. I'm just out. I didn't like what in the limited snaps I saw from Gunnar Stockton. I also think there's a little bit of the Carson Beck stuff from last year where we talked about in the Miami thing. It was interesting that all these dudes get up for Gunnar Stockton and were very fine with Carson Beck not being involved. Even though he got hurt, it was, we're okay. Gunnar Stockton's our guy.
Was it Carson Beck that Kirby Smart called dumb? He said
called dumb.
Yeah. I could have swore there was some. I thought I brought that up in the ACC preview with Miami. I can't.
It's Castellanos, wasn't it?
No, that was it. Bill O'Brien, Castellanos.
Yeah.
I won't argue that too much. But I think you're exactly right, Carter. That's a little bit telling with the Carson Beck stuff. Maybe that's a bright spot for Georgia. You get him, Gunnar Stockton coming in. The guys get up for him. I don't know. Pause. But I would be more worried about addressing the drops. And they go get 2 wide receivers in the transfer portal. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Not really many worries about the defense, but it's tough. It seems like there's a whole lot at the top, and it's like Georgia isn't. They're still in the conversation, but it just doesn't feel like it's Georgia of years past.
That's what I want to touch on as well with the defense. 7 of the top 10 of the defensive line and linebackers are gone from last year, who saw 300 or more snaps. And last year, Georgia allowed 150 yards or more on the ground 5 times. 5 times last year out of 12 or 14 games, whatever they played. 2022, when they won the national title, there wasn't a single 150-yard rushing game allowed. So I think we're going to see more of the same this year from the defense like we saw last year, where they're a good defense, don't get me wrong. They're in the upper echelon of college football, but it's not that elite championship calling card defense that we've seen so many times under Kirby Smart in Georgia that's going to win them a national championship with maybe a subpar quarterback. I don't think the defense is strong enough to do that with this year with Gunnar Stockton. And yeah, I don't have them winning the SEC. I think they might even miss the playoff. I think 9-3 is very likely for this Georgia team.
Their win total is 9.5 at -170 on the over. So super juiced.
I would venture to is 8-4 crazy? If they lose to our faithful Georgia Tech buzz Yellow Jackets, is that 4 losses? Bama, Texas, Ole Miss, or Florida, and Georgia Tech.
And maybe at Tennessee.
Maybe. There's some slip-up spots in there, seriously.
I mean, that's just the SEC, though. The SEC, I mean, we're going to go through these schedules, and we're going to go, you got to play Texas, you got to play Florida, you got to play Ole Miss, and it's like, all these teams have to play each other. There's for sure going to be, close spreads and everything like that. But I'm kind of with you. I don't know. I have questions about the offensive line. I just have questions about the offense. Georgia, I honestly don't need to know the names on the Georgia defense. I know Kirby Smart's going to have a great defense, and they're all 5 stars, and they're all awesome, and they're all going to be playing for your favorite NFL teams in 2 to 3 years. The offense was gross last season, and it's just got to improve, and that ground game has to be there, and you're with an inexperienced and not so great O-line.
I would ask Georgia fans, what's the proven commodity on offense? What is the one thing on offense that you can look in the mirror and say, I know this is going to work. I know when the time gets tough and we need a good drive down the field, this is where we're going to turn. What is that proven commodity on offense this year?
Gunnar Stockton's legs.
And is that going to win you a national title? Is that going to win you the SEC?
Some are saying the same about Arch Manning, though.
That's a great point.
Well,
it's a great point.
I will say, and I don't think this gets talked about enough, and maybe it did during the playoff, but Gunnar Stockton is a fantastic SEC quarterback name.
I agree.
Gunner's an all-time quarterback name. That's like Ohio State had a guy that was like their 4th stringer, Air Noland. If your first name's Air, you have to be a quarterback.
Now, when I first heard Air Noland's name, I thought it was Aaron Nolan. I'm like, isn't there like a sports reporter that she has the same name as that or something like that? I thought it was Aaron Nolan. So I'm not going to lie. It was like 2 years into hearing him like out of high school. And I didn't see tweets or something. It was like watching a podcast clip. I'm like, who is Aaron Nolan? But anyhow.